What is up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Dense Pixels podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Brad, joined by my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
Another dynamic duo pod for your earballs today. Light news week. Thankful for those, because it lets us dive in. You get more tangents.
Yeah.
During light news weeks. It's generally a funner show. Have not looked at the post office at all today, so whatever's in there is going to be a complete surprise when we get down to that portion of the show. Let's start with you. So I put on your radar last week, Curse of the Dead Gods. I have not bought it yet myself because I dabbled more with Final Fantasy, which is whatever. I started dicking around with Tabletop Simulator on Steam.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so there's an app that basically it's like a board game tool platform, I suppose. And people can, like, either publishers can put their games in officially on Steam and you can play them, or people can like code mods for games that aren't on there and give them away essentially. Because it's done through Steam Workshop. But yeah, Tabletop Simulator is literally what it sounds like. Like, it is playing board games, but it's not like designed to work on the computer. It is like you have a cursor and you can hover over the components and pick them up and flip them over and rotate them and do this, that, or the other thing. But you still have to manually do everything. But you're just sitting at a virtual table, essentially. A lot of board games. That's how a lot of folks have been playing board games over the past year. Just because, you know, there's the pandemic still going on. Of course, I waited till like the end of it to finally dust Steam off on my Mac and like that. So, and also I'm probably gonna get Stellaris because Stellaris is on Humble Bundle right now for $1. And I feel like that's, you know, it's worth $1 to check it out. It might even be worth $15 to get that and the DLC. So we'll see what happens there, and we'll see if how my 7-year-old Mac does running real games. So I guess I'm a PC gamer now, Micah.
Well, okay. You've graduated, I guess.
It's annoying because there's like 5 games on Steam that I actually want to play, and like Tabletop Simulator and Stellaris are like the only 2 that are actually compatible on Mac. Like, everything else is Windows only, which sucks. I swear, Mac gets no love, and you think with as many of them as there are, I'm sure the number of Macs out in the world, pales in comparison to the number of Windows PCs that exist. But it's interesting because, like, even though there are more Android phones out in the wild than there are iPhones, like, everyone prioritizes the Apple App Store first. But no one that develops PC games gives a shit about Mac. It's interesting. I find it peculiar that like literally 20% of the games on Steam are available to play on Mac. So
yeah, that is kind of odd.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a random tangent. Tell me, Micah, about Curse of the Dead Gods, which you did buy and have played.
Yeah, so I bought it because you were interested in it. That's how much sway you have, Brad. I bought it because you were interested.
That's the power I have to be sure not to lead you astray. So
I looked at a couple reviews and it was getting really great reviews. So I fired it up and it's good. It's $20. I bought it on Switch. It's a roguelite. I always get the terminology confused, like and light, but I believe this is a roguelite because some of the upgrades you get are permanent. So combat is super simple. You have a standard weapon, you have a special weapon. When you first start off, it's a gun, and you have a torch, and you have to you carry the torch around, but you can't like hold the torch in one hand and a gun in the other, or a melee weapon in the other, because when you are in the light, you do and take regular damage, but if you are fighting in the dark, you take 50% more damage. So it's always best, it behooves you to light torches throughout the arena so that you can illuminate the area of play. Your character you can't just like in Hades, you can just kind of spam attacks, and you can spam dodges. You can't do that in this because you have stamina.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that like certain attacks will take up, it's like a 5-point bar basically, and like certain attacks will take up, way 1 or 2, or depending on what you're doing, and then it recharges by not doing anything, right?
Right. So it prevents you from, dash attacking. Like that's how I first beat that first Hades run. It was just I would just dash and attack, dash and attack, dash and attack, and you can't do that in this. There is a way that you can recoup stamina if you can. There is no block, but you can perfect parry to recoup stamina. And the interesting thing about this is that there's this like corruption scale where and it constantly fills, and that's one of the curses that you get, is that it constantly fills. But every time you enter a new room, a new arena, your corruption fills, and the more corruption you have, you will later get a curse from one of the gods. And that's like, to compare it to Hades, that's like one of the pact of punishment penalties that you have to face, except you face it, they're all different between the run, right? So instead of you collecting like boons from the gods like you do in Hades, you get curses from them every room that you go into. You can, and it has like a little map where you can kind of figure out where you want to go, because there is an endpoint, and you, I assume, can get to the endpoint way quicker than you can in like a Hades. But at the end, there is a boss. Now, I haven't made it to the boss yet. I'm still kind of feeling my way around, but combat feels good. You could pick up different weapons on the battlefield, and it's a different take on. And I'm going to keep comparing this to Hades because it's the roguelike that I like, and it's fresh in my mind. It's a simple combat system, but it is rewarding because enemies have no problem swarming you and attacking you, with projectiles from off screen and up in your face with melee attacks. So it's I would recommend it. It's got the right amount of challenge where it's like, okay, this is, I feel myself getting better at this. It's fun. It's fun. Now, I've only played a little bit of it, but I do enjoy it. It's a different take on a road. Well, maybe not a different take, but it's a different take from Hades.
And, that was my concern, is that I was wondering if it was so similar that it wasn't worth playing both of them.
No. If anything, it's kind of like the reverse Hades, right? Like in Hades, you feel for me, the further along I made it in a run, I felt stronger. And this is the opposite. You're probably as strong as you're going to get when you first start. And then once the curses start piling on, and there's like 5 different levels of corruption. Once the curses start piling on, it becomes a bit of a bear to get through some of these things. But
interesting. Yeah, at least
I dig
$20 is throwaway money. So at some point, I'm sure I'll check this out. Very cool. So a bunch of new games. Well, I hesitate to say a bunch of new games came out this week. A lot of games are getting ported to other platforms this week. We talked about the new expansion for Elder Scrolls Online, Flames of Ambition. It came to PC last week. Well, it's available on PlayStation and Xbox this week that you can download. Kingdoms of Amalur: Re-Reckoning is available on the Nintendo Switch. I can't imagine that that's a great platform to play it on, quite honestly. But there's that. Monster Truck Championship comes to PlayStation and Xbox. Mundawn comes to PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Samurai Showdown gets its Series X upgrade. Stubbs the Zombie Rebel Without a Pulse comes to Nintendo Switch. Cartel Tycoon comes to PC. Marvel's Avengers gets its next generation upgrade on PlayStation and Xbox. And then Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville comes to the Nintendo Switch.
What is Cartel Tycoon?
I hesitate to even find out. Roller Coaster Tycoon has seen how much money the simulator series of games has gotten, and they want to get in on the mix. I suppose it's been out on Steam for a couple of years, so
I mean, Jesus Christ, man! Like,
no, it hasn't.
I think we have finally hit the. We have hit the Rubicon when it comes to the Tycoon series.
I mean, so I'm looking at it on Steam right now. It's coming to early access on the 18th. It is exactly what you think it would be. Like imagine SimCity, but you're trying to build a drug empire in Latin America. That is what you are doing.
They are trying to reach the 18 to 34-year-old male demographic with the Tycoon series in this.
I guess. Yeah, it's literally like it's the Narcos game, right? Hey kids, have you ever wanted to be Juan Pablo Escobar? Then you should check out Cartel Tycoon.
None of this roller coaster crap. No, sir. We're running cocaine through loop-de-loops. Go to densepixels.com/fans. Doing that will take you to our Discord. People have a lot of fun in there. I'm on a social media hiatus. So I'll be back maybe next month. And just start lurking around. Not that I, interact with you people a lot. But I do lurk. But now I'm on a hiatus of lurking. But go to densepixels.com/fans to reach our Discord. Go to youtube.com/densepixels to subscribe. You can see Brad's wonderful No Time to Bleed Sexual Tyrannosaurus Predator shirt. I'm glad they didn't put the first thing he said on there. That is not a shirt that you should wear in public. Period.
I have a feeling a lot of people would be looking slack-jawed if they put the first part of the line on there. Different time, kids. The 80s.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Go to wherever you subscribe to get your podcasts. Subscribe to this, and you could subscribe to The Nerdpocalypse, Black on Black Cinema, Coming Distractions, and the weekly preview episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast. Now, look, Jay's birthday is on Thursday, and you know, as a man who doesn't believe in God, the God that I believed in has punished him by releasing the Snyder Cut on his birthday. And he literally begged me to watch it. So I'm going to watch it, and we are going to talk about it on this week's episode of the Nerdpocalypse.
Isn't it like 4 hours long?
It's 4 hours, Brad. It's half a work day.
It's like Ben-Hur long.
So it'll be something. And we'll have a Coming Distractions review of the Snyder Cut up as well. You can go to densepixels.com/premium, and for $5 a month or $50 a year, you get the access to the premium slate of content, including the airing of grievances, the Caddy. The episode of the Caddy has just been released. No Time to Bleed, where our action movie review podcast, where I think we reviewed Predator.
We we have definitely reviewed Predator.
Yeah,
like if you are, so here's the cool thing about premium, right? Like, even if you've never subscribed before, and like right now we're pretty much only putting out like airing grievances and look forward and upstage and occasionally No Time to Bleed, and eventually we'll get back to Golden Tongues. But the backlog that's available for No Time to Bleed, for Men with the Golden Tongues, for airing or grievances is tremendous. It's monumental.
It's amazing, and that's why you're good at your job.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Men with the Golden Tongues. Didn't Billie Eilish win a Grammy for that theme song?
I don't know if she won. Speaking of Men with the Golden Tongues, R.I.P. in peace, Yaphet Kotto. He passed away today.
Oh damn.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that Mr. Big / Kananga was not like one of the defining roles of his career. Like if like it's not even in his top 5, I don't think. If you mention Yaphet Kotto to anyone familiar with his body of work, I don't even think it would get mentioned in the top 5.
I think people would say Yaphet Kotto. Oh yeah, and by the way, he played a Bond villain.
Yeah,
right. Like I don't think they would even. I don't think they, because his. While we appreciate Mr. Big, it's not the role that he's known for.
No.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was 81. I mean, dude's been around. Like,
he lived a life.
Yeah.
Sucks, but he lived a life. Also included in the premium, as you said, Upstage Conversations and the full episode of the Look Forward Political Podcast.
Yeah. Actually, Yaphet Kotto appears a lot in the TNP compendium because he was in The Running Man as well, which also has been reviewed on No Time to Bleed.
Yeah, I might have to listen to that again, man.
Yeah.
I love The Running Man.
It's an excellent film. You know who directed that, by the way?
No.
Paul Michael Glaser, who was Starsky on Starsky and Hutch.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he became a director, and Running Man was one of his first big hits that he directed.
Wow.
So there's that. The thing about the sexual Tyrannosaurus t-shirt, by the way, and if you're not on youtube.com/10pixels, you're missing it. Like, the logo for the tobacco is not only a T-Rex, as you'd expect, but he's wearing the hat, and he's the Blaine hat, and he's carrying a Gatling gun. Like, that's what makes it. I love this shirt. It's fantastic. So on like the post, like in the post, like end of show banter last week, we were talking about the story that came over late. We didn't really get into it. So Meyers Leonard is an NBA player. He plays for the Miami Heat currently. He was caught on social media dropping an anti-Semitic slur. And we talked about that last week. Talked about how NBC Sports, in reporting the story, made sure to bleep out all the F-bombs that he dropped, but did not bleep out the anti-Semitic slur.
Yo, come on, yo.
Because, woo!
I mean, I don't mean to laugh, but like, yo, come on.
That's the story. Like the thing,
Right.
That's the thing he said that's bad. Like, who cares if he said fuck? Like, that doesn't matter. So he's had a bad week. Meyers Leonard has had. So his Twitch channel, which had over 50,000 followers, that's been deleted. All of his sponsors, including FaZe Clan, that he was a part of, including Astro, including Scuff, including Origin PC, have dumped him. And the Heat themselves have put him on indefinite leave because of this incident. Hey.
I mean, look, it is what it is. As Jay would say, get the bread out of the oven. I don't give a
To
shit.
his credit, Meyers Leonard did apologize on Instagram, saying he was deeply sorry for using an anti-Semitic slur during his live stream. But his excuse is that he claims he didn't know what the word meant at the time.
Okay. Look, even if you don't,
right, it's a bad word. Like it's not like anyone goes around saying that word in regular conversation unless you're like a Nazi.
Right. So you know it's a word that that offends people. So why just say it? And you said it I'm looking at the quote. You said it in like in a manner that in which you said it between the F word and the B word. Like you can't.
Right. Like you literally used it as
a pejorative.
Yeah.
So I don't I don't feel for you. I really don't.
No.
Like I understand that.
Like you ain't sorry because you did it. You're sorry you got caught. That's what you're
Right.
sorry about. You're sorry that you've been called out on it. So
Right. And look, I'm not foolish enough to think that most people don't say things that they shouldn't say in public in their private time. But you got to realize what a stream is, right? Like you're broadcasting, and two, you're famous. Like I mean, I will not go to bat for celebrities, but I understand that celebrity is a double-edged sword, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if you have that double-edged sword and you stab yourself with it, I'm not gonna feel for you, yo.
Seriously, I mean, yeah, it's you have no one to blame but yourself on this. And look, not to get all Ivan Drago about the situation, but to paraphrase him, if he gets fired, he gets fired. Like,
yeah, I mean,
no big deal. So
we all know those people run everything, so you got to watch your mouth. That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke.
But yeah, fuck that dude. Good that he like I said, held accountable. And again, for those of you that don't understand, people, I'm sure crowd free speech. Unless the government's cracking down on them, it's not a free speech issue.
Yeah, look at all these government organizations that are cracking. Oh wait, the U.S. Department of FaZe Clan. I didn't know that was I didn't know that was a thing.
The Department of FaZe. Who's the secretary of FaZe? The Department of FaZe. Good lord. Some welcome news last week. So a trailer dropped from I think it's .emu is the name of the company, and Tribute Games is the developer of this game for a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. I actually was delighted watching. I don't often go to watch reaction videos for things, but I did seek them out for this because the trailer that they play starts with just a performance of the TMNT theme song, essentially, with over top of some pretty slick animation. And then they showed gameplay for this new game, Shredder's Revenge, that's coming out, which is going to be the 2.5D in the 2.5D Konami style side-scrolling beat 'em up game, which we all love and have wanted to see back for a very long time. I'm very excited about this. This is, unless it's complete hot garbage, this is going to be an insta buy for me. It looks exactly what I want a TMNT game to be. They even bothered to have like unique running animations for each of the turtles. Like the first cut they show in the trailer is all four of them running, and each of them have a very distinct running animation that is appropriate to their characteristics.
Yeah,
Michelangelo specifically.
This looks fun. It's it's the Ninja Turtles in their 80s form, right? Like there's been a lot of like in their 80s cartoon form. There are some folks who take Ninja Turtles like incredibly seriously and gritty and stuff like that. No, this is just the goofball 80s Ninja Turtles, and it looks cool, man. This is an insta buy for me. Let me ask you a question about these type of games. So kids, way back in the day, we had arcades, and you would have to put a shiny quarter, 1/4 of a whole dollar into a machine in order to play it. And these particular types of games were very fun, but they were also incredibly difficult. And they were incredibly difficult and cheap because They wanted you to keep putting more quarters in order to keep playing the game to get through it. If you got enough money, you can finish the game. Doesn't matter your skill level, right? Though they were quarter munchers. This is a classic 2.5D quarter muncher game. But sometimes some of these companies, some of these developers make these games nowadays, but they still make them like uber cheap. Like, you know, cheap as in like, I'm going to do something that that the game shouldn't allow me to do, right? Or I'm going to penalize you in a way that is unfair. What do you think about, what's your opinion on should these games have like a difficulty slider, or do you think difficulty should be adjusted, or are you fine with just good old fashioned, you know, keep hitting continue until you run out of continues?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with the difficulty level that these games usually ship with. There are like, even like Turtles 2, Turtles in Time, like games like that, like you can go on YouTube. There are like no damage playthroughs of people like it, all these games are, it's the old school just pattern recognition, like understanding, you know, the tells, because every enemy in these kind of games usually has some sort of a tell of some kind about, you know, when they're going to unleash some kind of attack. And there's a way around it. So it's just these are get good games, as they say. But the thing that's cool about this, and the reason why this type of game can still work in this day and age, is because the one thing that these are the original like social video games from back in the day. Like when you were in the arcade, you typically weren't playing, you know, Turtles 2 by yourself at the arcade cab. And you were usually joined by either your friends or just randos that were also at the arcade. And you kind of formed this, you know, sometimes the randos were the best part, because you formed like a camaraderie on the spot with folks, because these are cooperative games that you're trying to get through together. And like I said, this will be great for couch play. They're easy to pick up and play. Like my wife can easily sit down and play this with me as well. And it'll have online, I'm sure, in this day and age, and you can play with your friends online. Again, one of the things that, and we've talked about this on the show before, when they did that re-release of Turtles in Time, you know, it's been 10, 11 years now at this point. Like four of us planned on launch night, sitting online and playing that with each other. Now, it was unfortunate that the game was ass, and that was a downer. But like I said, there's still a certain, you know, type of gamer that this is going to appeal to, and we're definitely in that demographic, as it were.
Yeah. This looks really fun, and it's from a property that, you know, I enjoy.
Yep. So. And I think that for these type of games nowadays, you need that kind of a property to make it a success, because you have to give people a hook or something familiar to sink their teeth into. It's why Streets of Rage 4 did so well as well, because Streets of Rage is a game series that has been around for a long time. So yeah. Jade Raymond, recently of Stadia, out on her keister looking for a new job, has already found one. She just made her own game studio again. So she has opened a game studio that they're calling Haven, and already they have a project inked with PlayStation for a new IP that I'm sure we'll be seeing in a couple of years.
All right. Good for her.
Yeah.
I like Jade Raymond. I remember when she was what, game director for the original Assassin's Creed. And you know, the internet did what the internet does, is just give this woman shit because she's a woman. And lo and behold, it started a mega franchise.
Yep.
And she was part of the origin of that. So good to see her land on her feet. And that's all I got to say about that.
She's been prominently involved with a lot of games. Some of her credits besides Assassin's Creed, she was the managing director at Konami for Metal Gear Solid 4. She was the producer on the original Assassin's Creed. She was the executive producer for Assassin's Creed 2 as well as Splinter Cell Blacklist. Yeah, she's, like I said, she's done quite a few things. Managing director for Ubisoft when Unity and Far Cry 4 came out. She's bounced around, had her hand in quite a few game series. So very prominent personality in the game industry, and good that she's with a company that, you know, probably won't fold after 18 months.
Yeah.
which is a huge plus. Finally, in the quick hits, and we're going to be talking about Microsoft a little bit after the ad read. So Phil Spencer was on a Bethesda and Xbox roundtable, right, last week. And he wanted to confront an issue head on that folks have been asking about. And he said he wants to be as clear as he can to be fair to the community. And this is about Xbox exclusivity for Bethesda games, right? And despite the fact that he wanted to deliver a very concise and clear answer, he did not do that. His answer was a bit mealy-mouthed because he first talked about how there's contractual obligations for certain games. So while we'd love to, you know, make these exclusive, you know, we can't do that because we already have contracts in place. And there's also other communities, and when you want to invest in the communities, and we're still going to do that. But then he went on to say, if you're an Xbox customer, and I'm quoting now, the thing I want you to know is that this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. So I don't know what he's trying to say with this answer. I really don't.
I mean, Xbox and PC, right? Like,
no, I know, but what, like this is literally like the abortions for some, miniature American flags for others answer from Phil Spencer. He's not committing to a stance. So what this says to me is what I've thought the entire time is that their big tentpole franchises, your Elder Scrolls, your Fallouts, your Dooms, are going to probably still appear on multiple platforms. And then you're going to have Bethesda and other subsidiary developers of them doing other stuff that's exclusive to Xbox. I thought that's the way it's going to be the entire time.
I mean, it would make sense from a financial standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an Xbox customer, the thing I want you to know is this is about delivering great exclusive games for you that ship on platforms where Games Pass exists. And that's our goal, and that's why we're doing this. That's the root of the partnership that we're building. Yeah, it's just a weird statement.
It's a fantastic, like, corporate speak and non-answer.
Yeah, like, just say yes or no.
Right. But he can't, because then you know, what would be interesting to know is what games are contractually obligated to appear on multiple platforms. And I wonder, because I'm sure some of those games are probably games that haven't even been publicly announced yet, especially the way Bethesda's been keeping their cards close until they're ready to ship, basically.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. But yeah, it's an odd statement. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Microsoft after the ad read, because I think that we need to break a conception that we are hanging on to, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on that. So,
well, let's not waste too much more time. Go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases. When you go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases, you could do what I did, and you could buy yourself the Murderbot Diaries. See, there you go. It's 4 novellas, so hopefully that won't take me long to get through. I'm trying my best to do some more reading. Reading that doesn't have pictures associated with it. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, you know, just trying something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, go to densepixels.com/Amazon for all of your Amazon purchases. It's the easiest way to help your boys out.
That it is. So Game Pass made some news this week in terms of some games that are coming to Game Pass this month. And some games that you might not expect to see, as well as some high profile games that are a little bit newer right now. So Undertale, for example, is one of those games. Empire Sin, Nier Automata, Star Wars Squadrons, which is going to be on Game Pass by proxy of EA Play. Torchlight 3, only on PC for now, but still on Game Pass. Genesis Noir. Octopath Traveler, which is very interesting. Pillars of Eternity 2, Superland Yakuza 6, Narita Boy, and the most surprising game of all, perhaps, Outriders. Day and date on Game Pass as part of your Game Pass subscription. Certainly raised a lot of eyebrows around the industry. And what I kind of sat back and thought about is this. And I'm curious to know what you think about this, Micah. But we need to acknowledge that in this console generation, Microsoft and Sony are not actually competing.
Yeah, like people have said that. People have said that before. That Microsoft is not in the business of direct competition with Sony, because they found a new source of like revenue source, a new way to make money, and that's through Game Pass, which is why that's all they're pushing, and they're pushing it hard. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. You can lease to own an Xbox if you get it through Game Pass. And it's actually I think it's cheaper if you do it that way. I can't remember.
Overall cheaper. Like that wouldn't make any sense. So
it wouldn't make any sense. But I don't know. I'm not a doctor. but yeah, they're pushing Game Pass, and I think they are more in competition with, I don't know. It's like they're in competition with like a streaming service or something. You know what I mean? Like they want you to keep playing their games, so they're giving you Game Pass as opposed to you like firing up Netflix and sitting there watching it.
Honestly, like right now, Microsoft's biggest competition, and I mean this dead seriously, is Steam and Luna. Are probably their biggest competition right now. Like Microsoft would be perfectly happy if you owned a PlayStation 5 and also had Game Pass on your Windows PC. Like that would be delightful for them. If that's the type of gamer that you were. And that's what I'm saying. So like we have 3 console manufacturers now that are playing 3 completely different games. Nintendo's been playing their own game for quite a long time at this point. They're perfectly happy being your second console, as long as you buy all their Nintendo exclusive stuff, or stuff that's only available on Switch. Like they are totally fine with that. And they come in at a price point that reflects that. Like that's their game. It's done very well for them in this console generation. And that's the lane that they're going to stay in for quite some time. That's why the Switch Pro, which we talked about last week, as rumored, is befuddling, because I don't know what segment of the market you're trying to appeal to with that. It's like you're trying to compete with next generation, but not really, because but not to rehash that. And then Sony wants to be your primary game console. Like they want you to buy PlayStation 5, they want you to buy PlayStation exclusives, they want you to have PlayStation Plus, all that jazz. They want you in the Sony ecosystem. And the Microsoft just wants you however they'll get you. Like that's all they really care about, is just to get you somehow. Just to get you some way. And
this may be like dabbling into like I hope it's not offensive, but it shows how each of these companies is run from a culture standpoint, like from a cultural standpoint, right? Like Sony is very like, they're old school video game manufacturers, and this is they want the old ways, like they're very traditional, right? And I imagine that that's what older Japanese folks, how they operate their companies, right? This American company is just like, yo, whatever, let's just give me the money, I'll give you whatever, you just give me the money, give me the loot, right? And this weird Japanese American type company, because when I think Nintendo, I think Japanese American, right? Because
that's interesting. I would associate Sony as more of a Japanese American company than Nintendo. Like Nintendo, I think is a very strictly Japanese company.
Well, the only reason I say that is because the personality, and I think Reggie Fils-Aimé has had a lot to do with my perception.
Right.
He is the type of he seems like a weeb, right? Like he seems like the type of guy, at least in his during his Nintendo tenure, he seemed to be the guy he seemed to be an excellent American representative for that company.
I agree that's true. But I disagree. And this is also because I have like insider information on Nintendo. Like Sony America has a lot of say and has a lot of voice in how Sony is run, especially on the PlayStation brand side of things. Nintendo America does not get a huge say in this thing. Like they're basically taking marching orders from Nintendo Japan.
Okay. All right. Well, then that just blows my theory out.
but like I said, it's and Outriders is interesting, right? So like if I had a gaming PC and I didn't own an Xbox, Outriders would be a very interesting test case for me, because if I have a PC that's capable of running it in a decent fashion, and this is a game that, you know, it's a live service game. We don't know how good it's going to be. The demo was good, but you know, who knows what the shelf life looks like on this game? Do I want to spend $60 and buy it on PlayStation, or would I rather spend $15, try it on my PC through Game Pass, and if I like it, then I'll play it for 4 months for the same price, and by the end of 4 months, I might not give a shit about playing the game anymore anyway.
Right.
At that point. The only downside is that while it's cross-play, there is not cross-platform saving. So you would be kind of locked down as far as that goes. But that's an interesting conundrum. And if you don't own a Switch, for example, but you've heard a lot of good things about Octopath Traveler or Yakuza 6, and like now you have an incentive to try those games out. And I think that Microsoft making a push to get a lot of third-party games, and if they can get a lot of third-party games day and date to launch on the service, and not a lot, but just to select, you know, big-time games now, and then you combine in Bethesda into this mix in whatever shape or fashion that looks like. That's a very interesting proposition for folks that might be curious about Game Pass, but don't want to go out and spend $500 or even $350 or however much the Series S costs on another piece of hardware, especially if they already own a PlayStation 5. I don't think these games will compel people to get an Xbox, but I think that they would compel people to try Game Pass.
Yeah, this scenario with Outriders is the exact reason why I have Game Pass. Because Outriders looked interesting. I downloaded the demo. I'm like, maybe, but I don't know if I would buy this. Now that this is coming out on day and date with Game Pass, I'm 100% going to play it. I'm 100% going to put time into it. The Outriders does not seem like a game that I would want to spend $60 on, but I do want to play it. And yeah, this is the perfect scenario. This is the exact reason why I have Game Pass. So good on them.
Starting to pay off. And like I said, I think that this underlying point makes the argument. And I'll ask you two questions, if I may, Micah. So if Microsoft came to Sony and were like, hey, we really want you to launch some of your PlayStation exclusives on Xbox, and here's some money, what do you think Sony would say to that?
Honestly, it depends on the exclusive. If it's Days Gone, sure.
But Spider-Man, Horizon.
No, come on, let's not get ridiculous.
Right. So
let's not get ridiculous.
So that's that. Now let's say Sony goes to Microsoft and they're like, you know what? PlayStation Now, it's not really doing what we wanted to do. It's not a huge priority for us. It's not really working out. we want Game Pass on the PlayStation. How fast is Microsoft taking that deal?
I mean, wow. Yeah, right.
Would they say no?
No, they wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Like, because it's just more money coming their way.
Right.
They're getting it from everywhere. It's a bukkake of dollar bills.
It'd be really hard not to use that as the fucking show title. Department of FaZe is really good, but man, I don't think I can put bukkake in a show title. I think that's a bridge too far. That's close to when we had like the objection penis for Phoenix, right? That we wanted to use as the image for that episode of the show way back in the day.
So yeah, of course they would. But wow. Yeah, but that's fantasy land, right? That's never gonna happen, right?
Well, never say never. I mean, again, like we're seeing Microsoft get chummy with Nintendo in some respects. It would not surprise me at all to see like a Bayonetta 3 show up on Game Pass not long after it comes out on Switch. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me in the least. But we'll see. Like I said, it really, I mean, the problem with like fantasy casting, that kind of a thing, is that I think PlayStation Now does better than our perception of how PlayStation Now does. Like, even though it's one of those services that you probably don't know very many people that use it, like I'm pretty sure it makes enough money for them that it's fine. Otherwise they wouldn't be supporting it the way that they do. So I don't think that's happening tomorrow, but at the same time, like I'll just put, posing that as a hypothetical, there's no way that Microsoft wouldn't do that in a millisecond.
Absolutely.
If that was the case.
Absolutely. I can't believe that Sony has so many customers with well-meaning wives that buy them the wrong thing, and enough of them bought PlayStation Now instead of PlayStation Plus, so that they can keep sustaining that thing. I've not touched it since that first time I tried it.
And that's fair. And again, like Game Pass is just a better service. Like PlayStation Now, you have to stream. Game Pass, you can actually download the game onto your platform of choice, which makes running it a hell of a lot better.
And before some but actually person comes in, some select games on PlayStation Now you can download.
Oh, okay.
But the majority of them are streaming.
So, but it's to think that Microsoft is competing with Sony this console generation, I think we have to divorce ourselves of that thought.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We can, but the people who live and die by brands and brand loyalty, they cannot. And they are incredibly annoying.
I would give anything to know hardware sales 2 years in to this console generation, because I think it's going to be as widely disparate as the PS4 and Xbox One were, honestly.
Yeah,
I really do. We move to the post office. Rev asks us, in honor of the Snyder Cut on HBO Max, is there a director's cut version of a film that you think was better than the theatrical cut?
I'm told that the Ben Affleck Daredevil director's cut is better than the theatrical cut, but I wouldn't know. I generally don't watch too many director's cuts of films, because they usually just incorporate deleted scenes. And right. My thought is, if that scene was deleted, it was probably deleted for a reason. Be it pacing or things to make sense, or like the Snyder Cut is 4 hours long. Like, I understand that the theatrical cut of the Snyder Cut of Justice League was an unfinished product that was Frankensteined together and not Zack Snyder's true vision. But come on, man, like no studio in the world would have released a 4-hour Justice League movie to run in theaters. Like you would have had an editor to edit that down if, you know, the Snyder family didn't have that tragedy. Like, you just would have. So I don't know.
I generally agree with you. Generally, in my opinion, director's cuts that have cuts that were merely cut for time because the studio requested it are usually fine, because the scenes either add a layer of context or flesh out some themes or some plot lines that might get kind of glossed over in the theatrical release. Blade Runner is one of them, even though the ending of the Blade Runner director's cut is not quite as good as the theatrical version, but most of the other stuff that's in there is. T2 is another good one, where the director's cut is solid with the few things that it adds. The one that I wish I could have, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the known universe that wishes that they could see this film. And I talked about it on the episode that we did on Men with the Golden Tongues. I want to see the 3.5-hour John Woo cut of Mission Impossible 2. Yeah, it is my life's mission to see that film the way that John Woo envisioned it.
Are you gagging for it?
Oh, I'm gagging for it. I am absolutely gagging to see the John Woo director's cut of Mission Impossible 2 that probably exists in like the same landfill that the ET games were buried, I'm sure. It's never going to see the light of day. Tom Cruise, use your Scientology Jesus powers to unearth the John Woo director's cut for MI2. Please. We need it. We need it. I hope that there's like a capsule that's tied to like Tom Cruise's vital signs, and then like as soon as Tom Cruise dies, like that director's cut makes its way out into the world, which is troublesome for the rest of us mere mortals, because of course Tom Cruise does not age and he will never die because of the blood of Scientology that flows through his veins. So again, we're never going to be able to see the John Woo director's cut of Mission Impossible 2, and I think that as a species we're lesser for it. J-Man asks or says, my PS5 was just delivered, so what's your go-to undiscovered gem in the PlayStation 5 PlayStation Plus catalog?
In the PlayStation 5 PlayStation Plus catalog, on the PlayStation, like purely the PlayStation Plus catalog?
I'd have to say let's go with PlayStation 5 specific here, because obviously if the game's on PlayStation 4,
right,
that's not really, but yeah. And the obvious one, the one that not many people would call out, is Astro's Playroom, but that comes pre-installed on the system, so you have no excuse to not play Astro's.
Right. I don't know. I'm looking at a list of PS5 games that you know, I'm trying to find one that people are like, oh, this is really good, and like nobody's talking about it. It certainly isn't Destruction All-Stars.
Well, so here's the dirty secret, right? There is not a killer app yet that's exclusively on PS5.
Yeah,
like the PS5 right now, what it exists as is the best place to play PlayStation games, period. Like there are a lot of just PlayStation games that are amazing on PS5 because of the enhanced, you know, frame rate and graphical prowess that you get with the system. Again, like for me, it's Astro's Playroom. Like that's the best one, right? Or Dark Souls, or Dark Souls, Demon Souls is also probably up there as well. And if you never played it and you like those type of games, that's the one I'd probably recommend.
Yeah, like everything else is you wouldn't recommend the hidden gem, the game that Sony is doing them a favor by releasing via PlayStation Plus, a little game that no one has ever heard of, something about The Last Fantasy. This, even though it's the 7th one, but
that's on PS4, Micah. It's specifically the PS4 version.
Oh yeah.
So yes, that's like Demon Souls is probably the answer right now. But again, you have to like that style of game, because if you don't like getting your head kicked in, it's probably not going to be a good game. But definitely play Astro's Playroom. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you should at least give Astro's Playroom a try. Like I didn't play much of it, but it really shows off, especially shows off what that controller is capable of. And normally I don't really give a shit about controllers, like any rumble features and stuff. I usually turn off because it's slightly distracting. But no, that's worth a playthrough.
Gully, first time poster in the post office, as far as I know. You're married to the protagonist of your favorite game, and the antagonist of the last game you played is trying to kill you. Are you happy in this marriage? And would you survive?
Yeah. Commander Shepard could murder Adam from Bravely Default 2. Yeah, sure.
So mine is a bit of a higher bar to clear. Commander Shepard would have to kill Sephiroth. Which is a little trickier. Now, am I happy in the marriage is interesting. So Commander Shepard always on the go, right? Like she's sitting there, she's commanding the Normandy, she's going, around everywhere. I don't know if I'd be too happy about that. Like I'd probably feel a little neglected. I'm sitting back here on Earth. She's gallivanting across the galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't feel bad about that, but knowing that Commander Shepard is promiscuous, can be promiscuous in these games, I would have a problem with that, right? Because you got Garrus doing his little Turian two-step, trying to seduce my wife, and that's not gonna work.
Now, would she defeat Sephiroth? I have to imagine yes. Again, Commander Shepard overcame an entire sentient being of a race whose sole purpose is to eradicate the galaxy every 50,000 years so that civilization, like it's a reset button for civilization. And they had done it successfully for millions of years. And then Commander Shepard comes along and fucks up their day.
Exactly.
Is Sephiroth really going to fucking stand up to that?
But Commander Shepard did have 3 crews of people to do it.
True.
And a tremendous amount of prep time.
That is also true. I also feel like, though, that Cloud and his band of merry folks had a lot of prep time as well. They too, in the face of imminent world destruction, said, you know what? I have to breed these chocobos and race them first before I go handle this major problem. Because while the world's about to end, there's these 2 optional enemies that I have to fight. And if I cannot summon the Knights of King Arthur to destroy them, how do I know who King Arthur is? I have no idea. But if I cannot summon the Knights of King Arthur to destroy a giant lobster in the desert and a weird airman looking motherfucker under the sea, then we can't. Then what's the point of even living?
You're right. And in Sephiroth's final form, he was defeated by a guy with. He was defeated by someone who was handy-capable. Mm-hmm. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Handy-capable people can do anything, right? But he was missing an arm, so he put a gun on it. A guy carrying a big butter knife, and a woman carrying her dukes.
Right. And not to mention a elderly chain smoker who probably had COPD, not to mention a literal stuffed cat, not to mention a small 16-year-old girl with spiked circles that she could throw at people. Look at all these people.
She's throwing metal hula hoops at Sephiroth.
Meanwhile, the modern visage of fucking Dante's Satan is sitting in the middle of fucking Mako stream, and he can't even fucking beat him. Tell me Commander Shepard and fucking Garrus are not gonna roll roughshod. Plus, not to mention Sephiroth, he has a sword. He may be a great swordsman, but you bring a fucking knife to a gunfight, that's not gonna help. Sorry. Want to detonate apocalyptic weapons? Look, as long as I can leave one of my friends behind to hold his thumb on the trigger, we're good. We got this. And if I need to, I'll just build a massive super weapon out of the center of galactic civilization. It's cool. Man. You guys left me the tools. I got the tools. Got the talent.
Man, I can belittle Sephiroth once a month on this podcast. And it would never get old.
Look, if you're gonna walk around with a fucking 8-foot katana, I'm just saying you're compensating for something. I don't know what that is, but you don't need a sword that long. It's unwieldy.
They used to sell those things at weeb conventions, and first of all, it's not real, right? It's glass, right? Like it's and you can't hold it, right? Like you can't, like it's just a blade, the guard, and then 8 feet of glass.
Right.
You can't, it's not balanced.
It's not practical. Plus he's not 8 feet tall. Like that open, like you have to fight with a very specific style of sword fighting. Otherwise the shit's going to be dragging on the ground all the time. Like it doesn't fucking work. There's a reason that like pikes and lances are 8 feet long, because you don't hold the shit at the fucking bare end and swing it like a stick. Like you hold it across multiple points. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Kefka fuck with a sword? No, he had a fucking death ray that he could summon because he was a literal fucking god and just murk people from across the continent. Get out of here.
Right. Kefka took off his jester robes and looked like Vince McMahon's wet dream. He was purple and just had muscles for days. Sephiroth, he turned into a mutant. He had one wing. He is flying around with shit coming out of his hair. Like, nah, man, get out.
I think of all the overrated aspects of Final Fantasy VII that piss me off. Sephiroth is easily. Like his status in pop culture is easily the greatest one. Why is this the dude that you're porting into every game in fucking existence?
Because
why
fucking
is this the guy?
Nostalgia is a hell of a drug, and he came out at the right time for all of that shit. When did Final Fantasy come out? 97, 98, something like that?
97.
It was 97. We were getting out of the 90s. And into the just a horror show that was the 2000s, and everything was just everybody had to wear trench coats and shit. Everybody had to look cool or whatever, right? Like it was 2 years before The Matrix came out. The Matrix was inspired by Final Fantasy. That's the lie that I'm telling. And it started that whole like edgelord shit.
Yeah, I mean, like they came out with a sequel movie, and the dude was dead, and they couldn't even like fucking leave him alone. like they couldn't even be like, oh, we can find some new villain. No, instead the Cloud just like had visions of him all the time. Like it was terrible. It's fucking awful. Sephiroth sucks. Terrible villain.
He's a test tube baby who found out he was a test tube baby and was just mad about it.
Right. His song is good. It's the best thing about him, and even that's fucking played out. It's not even a top 5 song in Final Fantasy VII. It's good, but it's not even top 5 in the game that it resides in. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here. That was a lot more Sephiroth slander than I expected out of a relatively innocuous question. I hope everyone enjoyed the last 10 minutes. Jay will not. We'll end with Casa, who asks, what is your favorite incidental moment in the Mass Effect series that made you appreciate some small detail? And secondarily, what classes did you enjoy best? The one that they gave is their fondest memories from the Shadowworker DLC. They flung a Geth off the outside of the ship with biotics and saw them pulled off by the heavy winds and then struck by a bolt of lightning channeled off of one of the rods down the side of the ship's hull, and they disintegrated.
Wow. It's a piece of character moment. It's a character moment,
Mm-hmm.
and
Are you gonna steal? Are you gonna steal?
It's more than singing.
Oh, okay.
It's more than singing for me. It is. It's the thing that 100%. It was just like, I think I love everything about this entire series, because of the character work, and everybody has a moment,
Mm-hmm.
except for Caden. I always let Caden die, and I'm probably gonna let Caden die. In the new, I just don't care.
Look at all this voice work from Raphael Smarge going to because Mikey just can't let him live.
I just can't do it. I've never done it. I've finished that game. I've finished the first Mass Effect maybe 3 or 4 times. I can't
Raise up black women. I'm with you, Micah.
There you go, man. There you go.
God, I hesitate. The entirety of Mass Effect 2, honestly, like especially like when you're reuniting with people, like when you first reunite with Garrus, when you discover that he's Archangel, is really good. Honestly, like when you first meet Thane, like when you catch him like doing his assassin shit,
Yeah.
In that compound, like all that stuff, and just the small moments around the different character interactions, I think are always very, very good. Honestly, the hardest one for me is what was it was the scene where the God, I'm trying to fucking remember, because there's a lot of different ways the scene can play out. But when I think it was in 3, when you have to go to the monastery and Samara has to like choose to assassinate her like last living daughter.
Yeah.
At that point, like that's a tough one. And again, it could play out several different ways depending on the choices that you make in that situation. But yeah, it's all good. Like the fucking suicide mission, that whole stretch of the game, and kind of watching your decisions play out in real time, because your success in that mission is predicated on, how much loyalty you've gained.
Yeah.
Throughout the thing. Of course, my favorite just offhand moment is the shooting of the gas line below the loquacious Krogan during Morden's loyalty mission.
Is there anyone who didn't like get through that suicide mission with everybody intact? Like, did somebody?
There has to be some people who didn't give a shit about certain people and didn't do it, or they got tricked into like, we have to go now, like we had to do it now, and just fucking.
Yeah, because I mean, I can kind of see people like not giving a fuck about Jacob,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the same time, maybe it's just the way I play games. Like, no, if it's something there, I got to do it. You know what I mean? I really wish that it was truly random.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you do the loyalty mission, they'll try, but it's still, instead of a 50-50 chance they'll die,
mm-hmm.
it's a 75-25 chance they'll die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that would have been really, that would be the only thing that I would really change from Mass Effect 2. Is, I do want some stakes. You know what I mean? Like, if you just do the loyalty mission, then you're golden. But God, I can't wait for May.
It's gonna be great. There's so much good shit. Like three truly does not get enough credit. I don't think.
I don't think 1 gets enough credit.
That's probably true too. 2 is also good for like kind of learning about to find out how like shitty the creation of the Geth really was.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of makes you lose a little bit of luster for those folks. So
yeah,
it's just great all around. Like I said, a storytelling gem. I'll tell you what's going to hit me harder now than it used to back in the day. The Project VI missions are probably going to like be a little bit more anger reducing for me, just because of real life circumstances. So
yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, like Mass Effect's full of amazing moments, and again, Shadow Broker's great. And really like kind of going back to what Casa said, just the amount of detail, just climbing up the outside of the ship at the beginning of that mission, is impressive, and just really the whole presentation of the Shadow Broker himself, when you first encounter him, even though the fight could be very easy depending on how you approached it. Just great all the way around. Just fucking awesome.
I can't wait for May. I don't know. Like I kind of want to play it differently. You know what I mean? Like I'm still gonna let Caden die because fuck Caden, right? but like, how do I play it? And like I've played it every which way, so I don't know if I have like a preferred method. But like in Mass Effect 2, do I not do certain loyalty missions? Do I let certain people die? Mm-hmm. Just to kind of change it up a bit. I don't know. I'll see.
Oh, we didn't mention favorite classes. I always played Infiltrator whenever I played.
I started when my very first playthrough. I was a biotic, and because I thought it would be, cool, right? Like you see, these biotics do all this stuff, and you see people charging and all that, and then I realized, that is not me at all. Like I'm not a charge into battle kind of guy. So I picked Infiltrator, and then I picked Engineer, and I think I like Infiltrator the best. But yeah, I'm probably not going to go back to biotic, but
I might go to biotic just because, like I said, I played the original trilogy as Infiltrator the entire time, and I just find fucking tank classes to be so boring. Like they're so boring.
Yeah,
so boring. Like I can't invest any points into a red skill tree to save my life. I just can't. Doesn't matter what the game is. I just fucking can't. So that is it. Thank you guys for your questions this week. Again, as usual, go to densepixels.com/fans while the Facebook group still exists. But while you're there, check out the pinned post at the top of the page and join our Discord channel, because that is where we are migrating to eventually. Make sure to subscribe to this show as well as all the other shows in the TNP network wherever you get your podcast. Head on over to YouTube. Go to youtube.com/densepixels. Subscribe to us there as well. And of course, you can follow us all on Twitch. I am DensePixels Brad, Terrence is Apparition 410, and Carrie is Carrie. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we will see you all the next time.
See ya.
You're watching the Dense Pixels YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button while you're here, and make sure you check out our weekly podcast where we discuss the latest gaming news and our impressions on what games we've been playing.